On today's episode of Romick Brothers, it's earworms. Yeah, not things that actually get in your ear. Although, did you see that movie, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Are you talking about the Star Trek with Ricardo Montalban?
No, it's talking about Hitchhiker's Guide. They may have done it in Star Trek too, but they had these little earworm things you could put in your ear that would automatically translate any language so that you would hear it in your language what people were saying.
You realize that actually exists now. If you don't put it in your ear, there's a thing they're marketing now, and they show people traveling in foreign countries talking to a driver. It's amazing. No, they're one of
that has nothing to do with what this episode is, though.
One of the early Star Trek movies, and Ricardo Montalban played, you know, the guy with Rich.
The plane.
Yeah, he had it, and he played this villain, and they put this thing on this guy, and this worm crawled into his ear, and it was so terrifying. It was the only good part of the movie. It was so terrifying. It was almost like you could feel it. You know what I mean? As it was going, and it killed him. Of course, it drove him crazy.
Well, I've read stories where people have had things crawl into their ear at night and lay eggs in there and start eating their brains.
Dude, that's just sick. That is sick.
But that is actually, again, not what we're talking about on today's episode.
Sorry. I did have a kid take off school one day because a cockroach climbed in his ear and he couldn't get it out, and he actually had to go to the doctor. Okay, sorry.
That's terrible.
You shall remain nameless because of course.
We should do a whole episode on real earworms.
That's the truth.
But these are these songs that get stuck in your brain. It's a lot of times it happens when you actually hear them. But for me, I know it's happened several times where I haven't heard the song in years, and suddenly I'll wake up one morning and it's stuck in my head, and there's nothing I can do to get rid of it. You just got to wait it out.
That's the truth. I usually, if that happens to me, I have to listen to another song or two. Otherwise, you know. And I'm sorry. Is that intro good? Are we good?
Yeah, but we do need to do one thing.
Okay.
A little disclaimer for people who are especially susceptible to earworms. Because sometimes it's just a mention of the name of the song will do it for you.
That is right.
But we're going to be playing some clips of some of these songs too. So if you're susceptible to earworms, just be ready to cover your ears because we've got a lot of them.
We do. Okay, so we'll talk about earworms. All right. So my earliest research that I went back where they really started to look at this is from NPR. It was an interview that they did in 2012, and they talked to a psychologist named Vicki Williams, and she just kind of defined what earworms are, those songs that you try as you might that you don't want to get stuck in your brain. And she said that it happens to 90% of people at least once a week. Okay. So then I dug a little further, and there was a study done by Durham University in England.
I saw that study.
Okay. And they talked about what made it an earworm, or made a song one of those types that would get stuck in your brain, was that it had an unusual repetition to it that made it somewhat memorable. It was usually very upbeat and maybe a little bit faster tempo than most other pop songs. Okay. And it was another defining characteristic was that once we started hearing it, or it got stuck in our brain, it was like our brain had to finish it or we couldn't get rid of it. Right.
Yeah.
And then the latest one, which was but it was in November of 2016. And it was published first in USA Today, but it came from the American Psychological Association Journal, which of course only professionals in the industry read, the Psychology of Aesthetics. But they defined it and gave it a scientific name of involuntary musical imagery, or INMI. And they defined it as faster tempo, or the songs that qualified, I guess, that they tried to, specify, okay, what makes these particular songs earworms. They had a faster tempo, a fairly generic, easy to remember melody, but with specific kinds of intervals like leaps or repetition. And one of the examples they used, and I never considered it an earworm, although obviously it's very identifiable, was the opening riff of Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple.
Bum, bum, bum.
Exactly.
Bum, bum,
right. And then it is one of those songs that once you start it, it's like, and you
Smoke on the wall. Although,
right.
What makes it almost impossible to get them out of your head is if you don't remember all the lyrics.
That is the truth. And then you're just
I couldn't
mumbling
sing "Smoke on the Water" for you. I can maybe do the chorus.
Oh, me too. Well, I don't know. I had the album. It came off
Fire in the
Machine
Sky.
Head, right? And it was like mid-70s-ish. They weren't my favorite band, but that song obviously is very recognizable.
Which one?
Smoke on the Water.
That was Deep Purple.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
I thought you said Machine Head.
Machine Head's the name of the album it came from.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's all
okay.
right.
I had it in my head. I couldn't hear you.
Well, and if you go online, especially on YouTube, you have all kinds of people publishing their earworm songs. These are the most, you know, that start in 2010 and go through, you know, today. And then you have ones that date all the way back that have like Jingle Bells on them, which is supposed to be one of those.
Yeah, maybe I can see how for some people.
Yeah, that one was never one for me.
No, me either.
My number one was, okay, so when you and I started talking about this, it was a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
The one that popped right into my brain. So when I started teaching, 2005, okay, there were two other English teachers in the high school I was teaching at in the middle of Missouri. Actually, I'm sorry, closer to St. Louis, Missouri. But anyway, that were like my mentors. In fact, the husband was my assigned mentor because you have to have one when you first start teaching for 2 years. And his wife was also an English teacher. Well, she would walk by my classroom humming If I Only Had a Brain. The kind of song that you then, which causes me, and I like to sing, okay, so it would cause me to start singing the lyrics, not the song you want to be singing when your students come into the room, you know what I mean? If I only had a brain, right? But it is, Gary, it is, I would vote that one probably my number one. I can't get this thing out of my head. Earworm, swear. It really is. That's the one. Okay, so do you want to talk some songs or you have anything?
Well, I just want to comment on that because I think that well, I understand it can be for you and different songs are going to affect different people differently. And by the way, did you get new glasses?
Yeah, they're just reading glasses. Sorry.
They're fabulous.
Thank you.
I don't think that has a lot of the characteristics that you just listed on what typically makes a song an earworm. It's not really faster. And there is, the chorus is only repeated once or twice in that. If I Only Had a Brain, it's just like the end of every line.
Right.
There's not a real, what in the radio biz you would call a hook to that song that is, you know, it may be a little bit more musically than lyrically.
Right. And it is somewhat up-tempo. I agree with you on that. And it does have that kind of cheerful, even though it's, you know, he's bemoaning this plight of not having a brain because it's the Scarecrow. But it's still, you see him dancing, at least I picture him dancing happily, you know what I mean?
And falling down.
Right? You know, that kind of thing. Okay, I agree with you on this. Several other songs that popped into my head when we first started talking about them. Obviously, the classic Queen, We Will Rock You. I mean, that's just, oh my gosh, you know, when you start singing it and beating on stuff. And, you know, I remember being in school and people would slam their feet on the, you know, and they were sitting in the stands, that kind of thing. That was a huge one. YMCA, I think, is another one that kind of sticks in your brain, you know?
Yeah, to a degree, I'd see that. And that follows the formula.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, you know the hand motions, too.
Right, exactly. And I think, though, then, no, that's the Navy. Never mind, we'll get into that. Another classic one.
A lot of their songs follow that same kind of basic pattern.
They do, I agree.
But YMCA is probably the
definitely their biggest one. Another one that was just, and it's not a great song, and you know, if you look into supposedly what it was written about, it's not great either. But it's Who Let the Dogs Out, because that is just, and it was like that song exploded, and it was everywhere at one time, and then it's like it couldn't go away fast enough. You know what I mean? And it's funny because one of the only professional football games I ever went to was actually a preseason game, and it was in St. Louis when St. Louis still had a football team, okay, the Rams. And during halftime, they had a guy that had a bunch of trained dogs, and he had Frisbees, and he would throw them, I'm not kidding you, 40 and 50 yards, and these dogs caught every single one. And, of course, the song that accompanied that, Who Let the Dogs Out?
Have you seen the
Hey,
video
did
for
we
that?
talk about, I'm sorry, bud?
Have you seen the video for that song?
I
It's
have
a lot
not.
of dogs. It's a lot of dogs running around. I didn't watch the whole thing. I just looked for the chorus so I could pull the music for it. But there are actual
Well,
dogs
it's terrible
in the song.
because supposedly it was written about the women who have not hooked up with a young man, and the bar's closing, and that was what was the inspiration for that song.
Oh, that's
I know,
terrible.
right? So it's like once you learn that, you're like, I can't get the song out of my head fast enough. All right.
That's
Okay.
right.
Another one that I really like, and I think we talked about this earlier, was is the Banana Splits theme song. Because even though it happened, what was that, the 60s, right? Was this?
Oh yeah, mid '60s to late '60s, maybe.
As soon as I see it or think about it or whatever, it's like I remember the words even, And it is that obviously very repetitious, very simple, la, 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 la.
Yeah.
Not a bad song.
No.
Did we talk about Don't Stop Believing? Do you think that fits it?
No.
Journey song?
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think. I don't know that it's quite as.
Believing.
I can see how it would get stuck in your head.
Yeah, but it's not as up tempo, and I don't think it has any weird leaps or breaks or anything.
No, except for the way they use it in The Sopranos.
Oh, agreed.
But and speaking of that song, it did kind of get stuck in my head for a little bit. Are you familiar with? Oh crap! Now I'm going to forget the name of the group. Something Jukebox. They
No.
do contemporary songs in like a big band or jazzy.
Oh, cool. No.
I talked to you about them before, and
Okay.
they did a version of "Don't Stop," which is just great. Sarah Nimitz does part of the vocals on one of them, and it's look it up.
Okay. I will.
And I'll have to think of the name. People are going crazy right now, yelling the name of the group at me.
No, I understand. That's
something
funny.
Jukebox.
No, it's funny is because Kate, my youngest.
Yeah. Well, I told you about them to tell Kate about them.
Right. And I'm sure I did, but that's been a while ago. So
something Jukebox. Or, I don't know. It's going to drive me nuts now. It's like the opposite of an earworm.
That's right. What about a more recent song? And I do like Maroon 5. Is Moves Like Jagger.
I am not familiar with that.
Oh
song.
my gosh, Jerry, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry if I didn't tell you this one before. It is obviously an ode to or an homage to Mick Jagger and the way he danced. Obviously, I mean, I'm sure he can still dance, but the way he was probably when he was younger. And it's just got this, he's got the moves like Jagger. It's very catchy, very, oh my gosh, get out of my head kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think, Don't Stop Believing I had. Who Let the Dogs Out? Yes. What about Mickey?
Maybe.
Okay.
Although for me it never was, but I could see how it would be for some people.
Early on in MTV, they didn't have enough videos, so they played the same ones when they really just still played videos.
Yeah,
that was huge, and they played it over and over and over and over and over again.
Well, from that same era, Come On Eileen.
Oh my gosh, yes. And, it's really funny.
Okay, Midnight Runner.
That song, kids, and I'm talking kids who are in high school now. So you have the kids who are 15, 16, and 17-year-olds in 2018 know that song. Okay?
Wow.
Which is going to lead me into Sweet Caroline by Neil Diamond. All right, so it's 2000 and, oh my gosh, 6, 7, 8, right in there. And I'm working part-time. I'm still teaching, but I wasn't being paid enough, so I was bartending every Saturday night. And we had this song on the jukebox. And for whatever reason, it would come on, and everyone, and I mean everyone, African-American guys, white guys, country bumpkin guys, city people from St. Louis, young people, old people, middle-aged people, everybody would sing the chorus. You've seen it, and somebody just used it on a television commercial where a guy's got his window rolled down and the song comes on, and it's like, Caroline, he's like, bum, 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 and the lady next to him in the car does the same thing. It is. I know that you're going to argue with me on this one because it doesn't fit, I think, the traditional or definition of, but it's still one of those songs. Then why do cross generations, Why do people
Know the
know that
song.
song?
Because they're Boston Red Sox fans.
Oh my gosh, get out of here. I am not a Boston Red Sox fan.
No, but they play that
I know
song
they do.
at Fenway every game.
Okay.
And the whole crowd sings along with it.
All right. And you know what, Jerry? I'm a baseball fan. I did not know that.
I can't remember how I found that. Only very recently did I discover that, because I've never been to Fenway. And
so they do that
and if I'm watching a televised game, that's during the commercials.
I gotcha. Like they do at Wrigley Field, where they usually have a guest come on and do.
Yeah.
Take me out.
Yeah, but they play the Neil Diamond record, and I think on some anniversary or something, they actually had Neil there singing.
I believe it. That's funny. That is so funny.
It is.
All right. So, what other songs do you have that you would say deserve to be on this? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to digress. It's not. I forgot to make this point earlier. I apologize. This is not a recent phenomenon. There was actually a short story written in 1876 by Mark Twain about a town being taken over because a jingle got stuck in everybody's head. Okay? So I thought that was really interesting, because I'm thinking, well, maybe it's only because
of recorded music and
but it's not.
And radio.
Right. So you got any songs to add to the list?
Yeah, oh, I do. And mine are, for the life of me, I know I've had one picked out that was not a TV theme, but for me, TV themes do it for some reason. And I swear to you, within the last 2 years, I woke up one day with the theme from the Munsters. And there's not even any lyrics to that. So it's like, you can't do that. I hadn't seen it. I still haven't seen the show. And it has to be 10 years, if not longer. For some reason, it's stuck. And I do a radio show every day. And I got to the office, and I was trying to get my show prepped, and I was trying to do my show. And I've got da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-da-da-da going through my head the whole time. So finally I just said, here's what I'm going to do. I found it off of YouTube. I pulled it down off of YouTube, and I played it on the air.
There you go.
I said, I'm going to have to give it to the rest of you, to my listeners, so that I can get it out of my head.
Oh, that is so funny. And did you have anybody call you up and say, oh my gosh,
thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, now I got it stuck in my head. We'll pass it on to somebody else.
Oh, that's so
Green Acres is one that does it for me, too.
Which one is, Bud? I'm sorry?
The theme from Green Acres.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's terrible.
I could still probably sing most of the lyrics of that song, too.
And there was another one besides those two. But
Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, I was going to say Gilligan's Island. And here's the thing about Gilligan's Island. I don't know why, but somebody did a shtick years ago that you can sing any song to the tune of Gilligan's Island, and it will work. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see.
Now,
was blind, but now I see.
Does it have to be like 4/4 music, or?
I have no idea, but try. And I'm trying to think if there's other songs. I know the comedian that did it did like 12 songs in a row.
Oh my gosh!
To the theme of Gilligan's Island, and they were different styles of songs from different eras. Every single one of them worked.
Okay, are you a fan at all of Weird Al Yankovic?
Yeah, to some degree.
Okay, I mean, I appreciate him.
Yeah.
And when I teach parody and satire, I always play a song and show the video and then play one of Weird Al's, because he is very good at it. Well, when you mentioned Gilligan's Island, I thought of, okay, so there's a Coolio song called Gangster's Paradise. And then, but it's a good one, right? Because he nails the music. And then Weird Al's version is Amish Paradise.
Oh, I've seen that.
Okay, because in it, he steals that one verse from Gilligan's Island. No motor car, no luxury, or not a single luxury, like Robinson Crusoe. He uses that, and I'm thinking,
that's too funny.
Because his songs do get stuck in your head. You know what I mean? They really do.
So what is the worst case of earworm you ever had?
I think, honestly, it was teaching, and we used to teach block schedule. Okay, so it's 4 hour-and-a-half long periods plus a lunch. That's the way we taught in Missouri, rather than having 8 periods. You know what I mean? In a day, you have 4. And it was It was Carrie Flynn walking by, purposely either humming or whistling, If I Only Had a Brain. And I did not get rid of it for the entire day. And then I would find myself, like in between classes or at lunchtime, singing like the lyrics out loud to that song for the entire day. And then I'd catch myself and I'd be like, this is not the song you want your students to remember.
Yeah.
If I Only Had a Brain, you know, and they're looking at you like you've lost your mind.
I think mine was that day I had the Munsters theme stuck in my head, but there have been other times. I guess that now in your research, you said you found that if you just listen to another song,
no, that's
or
just
sing it all the way through,
that I've done personally. What they said is one of the characteristics of an earworm song is it gets stuck in your head, and you have to see it all the way through to the end, or you can't possibly get rid of it.
Right.
But I
that
found
doesn't always work. That doesn't always work.
No, it does not. Because then sometimes it's like, especially if you don't remember the words perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're kicking. Jared, there's one song and I keep singing the same verse over and over because I can't remember the next verse. And that one, you're just ruined, man. You know, it's stuck in your head and you're done. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you got to picture yourself having somebody pull the microphone away from you or something. or call somebody calling for an encore.
I'll either turn like if I'm in the car, I'll flip stations until I find something else that I can sing along to just to get
and sing it out.
Head. You know what I mean? Or I'll go to YouTube or go, or Pandora or wherever just to hear something new, something different.
There was one that we've got to mention because Larry, our sister Deborah, was up until about 15 minutes before we started this was going to join us today, but wasn't feeling well all of a sudden.
No.
But she had suggested the Bee Gees Staying Alive. And when I first read that in her text, I thought, I'm not sure, but I went and pulled the chorus for this video.
Right.
And I can see how that gets stuck in your head.
Well,
especially the high pitch.
We were both old enough during the, God forbid, disco era to know that song took American culture by storm, and and it was like you could not turn the radio on and leave it on for more than 15 minutes and not hear a Bee Gees song. Okay?
Oh, I know, it's terrible. And
then you have, of course, memorialized in great length by The Office, okay, where they taught them on a CPR dummy that you're supposed to do it to the speed of the chorus of "Staying Alive, Staying Alive." Okay, right. And I think that's what Larry or Deborah, should I say, said.
Probably was thinking about. You're right.
When they teach you, and I had to get certified because I was a coach in speech. Okay, they made me get certified in CPR, but
because you got a lot of people having heart attack stories.
Now, I let the athletic directors. I'm just like those concussions and everything that we come. I got to stay on those, but it was all good nature, whatever, and it's not a bad thing. But I got that. And that was one of the things they mentioned because you have to keep up a constant kind of rhythm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would think a slower song would work better for you. It'd last longer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Staying Alive is kind of quick.
I was just trying to think if I could even remember all of the songs, even to the chorus.
Of what?
Staying Alive.
I can't remember any of the words except the chorus. And all I can remember is those two words. And the ah-ha-has.
But now, wait. Isn't that the one where on Saturday Night Fever, Travolta.
He's walking down the street with the paint can?
Yeah. And isn't it like, well, you can tell by the way I use my walk, I'm a woman's man, no time for talk. I think that's the beginning of that song.
Yeah. You're right. It is.
And then you kind of got me, and then I could do Staying Alive, and that's about it.
Staying Alive. Yeah. That's pretty much it.
That's funny.
Oh, gracious.
I don't think I have any other. Well, okay. What about, and I'm sorry if I didn't mention the song before, and I don't know if it's earworm, but it certainly was one that everyone remembered, was 867-5309. It's by Tommy Two-Tone. Come on, 867-5309. Right?
Yeah. Anything that was on pop radio, especially back a little earlier, technically could have been, most songs anyway, could have been earwormable. Not that they were for everybody.
Earwormable. Get out of here. That's not a word. Okay, what about? Sure. Okay, so we're growing up and we're living in Cranford, New Jersey. Okay, so we're
good Lord. We left there in 69.
All right. But now I remember WABC. We used to listen to WABC.
Cousin Brucey.
In fourth grade on transistor radios on Lincrest's playground, and I only went there because
Lincrest is Fairlawn.
not Link. Am I thinking Lincrest?
I don't know. Cleveland is the grammar school we went to.
That's right. No, then it is Fairlawn. I'm sorry. All right. Sorry. Fairlawn. And it is Lincrest, and I was in 4th grade because WABC had this thing called instant replay.
Oh, yeah.
Dude. And so they'd play a song, and then the people that they had hired that they had on a cart machine somewhere would come on and be like, instant replay. And they would start the exact same song up right away. And you know what the song was that they kept doing that to in that year was Joy to the World by Three Dog Night.
Oh, Three Dog Night.
Oh, my gosh. I remember that. But as a kid, I don't know if it was because we were so young and our love for repetition, I liked when they did that on those kinds of songs.
Yes, but when they did it on a song you didn't like.
Yeah, then you're just like,
That was brutal. Yeah, then you switched over to NBC.
WNBC. I remember WABC because at the end of the year, they would publish the top 100 songs on paper. I mean, this is back way long before we look forward to that. Don't you remember? It'd be like, oh my God.
Oh, we'd send away for it.
Yeah, I wonder what song's going to be number, I love that. That was great.
Oh, yeah, it was great. It was
And
great.
you're right. That was kind of pop, bubblegummy.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Remember the very first
Ohio Express?
Yes, Chewy. Jerry, that was when we were moving away, and that was from Cranford, our across the street neighbor, Bobby Kohler, bought me that 45.
Oh, really?
Yes, that was the first 45 I think that I ever had. And I wasn't even overly familiar with the song, but it is definitely one of those bubblegum, oh my gosh, bubblegum gets stuck in your head kind of songs.
Oh, yeah. Bubblegum's the Archie Sugar.
Oh, my gosh, Jerry. I love that song, though. I had that album.
It's almost like the worse the song, the more likely it is to get stuck in your head.
That's about right. But then
some of the songs we mentioned aren't necessarily terrible.
No. And it's funny though. We never talked about any of the really big bands. No offense to Maroon 5, but none of the songs that we mentioned were by the Beatles or the Rolling Stones or you know what I mean. And certainly early
in there.
Yeah, that's true. But but they still had some beautiful music like Bohemian Rhapsody was fabulous. But We Will Rock You is come on, that was an anthem that was grabbed a hold of by every athletic team in every high school and college probably for 3 years. You know what I mean? At
least.
Early Beatles, though, I would never say that they fell into the bubble gum because they kind of invented that easy listening 3 minute.
Yeah, it was more the British pop kind of sound of the early, more innocent 60s. I Want to Hold Your Hand.
I saw her standing there. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, they grew up a little bit as they went along.
Oh my gosh, yes, for sure.
And so did their lyrics. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, cool. Well, we did get a comment or two on our last post about the Up and Down movies.
Okay.
Actually, I think Aunt Helen listed something on the website with a couple of movies that she thought maybe could have been on the list. But if we missed any of your earworm songs, you can either comment on the YouTube channel on the video there or on the website brothers.romix.com. You can do that there. I have no idea what our next episode is going to be. We haven't talked about that.
No, we have not. Idea? We will, though. We need to.
All right. Well, and if you've got comments, you've got an idea. What?
I said I don't know. We'll have to talk about it because I haven't even thought about that.
Yeah, me either. Well, we can, let our 6 view. I think we're up to six subscribers on the YouTube channel now.
Ooh.
Of course, you and me and Deb are 3 of those 6, but still.
Yeah, there you go. What are you gonna do? Right? I know.
Oh,
we'll have to
very
get
good. Very good.
All right, buddy. I guess we're good, right?
Kate's not joining you on this one?
No, she's in the other room playing something.
All right. Well, tell her about that sub-transatlantic jukebox or whatever the heck the name of that group is.
I'll have to look it up.
I will text you. And in the article,
please.
I will also put this on our website, brothers.romix.com, and I will research it and make sure I put that in the body of the article. That group Jerry was trying to remember
was good.
This something jukebox, and maybe even put a link to the Don't Stop video.
Oh, good. Yeah.
They're kind of big band version of Don't Stop.
I'd like to see it. I really would.
Yeah, it's very good.
Okay, cool. All right,
buddy. Thanks, Mike. Talk to you soon. Love you.
All right, love you. Bye.
Bye.